Gaura Nitai ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Astutra Sutra Sri Sri Mat Sri Goswami Hans Buddhamino A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Grandaraj Shrimad Bhagavatam ki Gaura Premanandi Eliyahu Samna Hindu Eliyahu Samna Hindu Eliyahu Samna Hindu Eliyahu Sri Sri Guru Gaurang Eliyahu Sri Prabhupada Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Sri Madhusam Mataji, måske kunne du skrue en lille smule op på mikrofonen?
Ja. Yes.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 11, Text 25. And we're entering some very controversial stuff here. So please repeat. Strinam Cha Padidevanam Tachushrusha Anukulata Tadbandushu Anuvriti Cha Nityam Tatvartadaranam Starinam Chapati Devanam Tachushru Shanukulata Tadbandushvanuvritischa Nityam Tadvrata-dharanam Starinam Chapati Devanam Tachushru Shunuka
Tachusrusanukulata
Tad bandhushvanu vritischa
Tadbandhushvanuvritischa
Nityam tad varatadaranam.
Nityam Sadvarataranam
Please chant.
Srinam Chapati Devanam
Sarinam chapati devanam.
Tachusrusanukulata
Tashushrushanukulata.
Tadbandhushvanuvritischa
Tadbandhushvanuvritischa
Nityam Tadvratadharanam
Nityam tadvarataranam.
Srinam Chapati Devanam
Srinam Chapati Devanam
Tashusrusanukulata
Tachusrusanukulata
Tadbandhushvanuvritischa
Tadbandhushvanuvritischa
Nityam Tadvratadanam
Nityam Tadvratadaranam
Srinam Chapati Devanam
Srinam Chapati Devanam Chashushrushanukulata Tadbandhushvanuvritischa Nityam Tadvratadaranam
Starinam.
Srinam
Of women.
of women
Cha.
Cha
Also. Patidevanam.
Patidevanam
Who have accepted their husbands as worshipable.
who have accepted their husbands as worshipable.
Tashushrusha.
Tashushrusha
Readiness to render service to the husbands.
readiness to render service to her husband.
Anukulata.
Anukulata
Being favorably disposed towards her husband.
being favorably disposed towards her husband.
Tadbandhushu.
Tadbandhushu
Unto the friends and relatives of the husband.
and to the friends and relatives of the husband.
Anuvriti.
Anuvriti
Being similarly disposed.
being similarly disposed
To treat them for the satisfaction of the husband.
to treat them well for the satisfaction of the
To
husband.
treat them well. It's very important to treat them well, not just treat them. Cha.
Cha
And
and
Nityam.
Nityam
Regularly.
regularly.
Tadvratadhanataranam.
Tadvratadharanam
Accepting the vows of the husband.
accepting the vows of the husband
Or acting exactly as the husband acts.
or acting exactly as the husband acts.
Translation. To render service to the husband, to be always favorably disposed toward the husband, to be equally well disposed toward the husband's relatives and friends, and to follow the vows of the husband. These are the 4 principles to be followed by women described as chaste. Purport. It is very important for peaceful householder life that a woman follow the vow of her husband. Any disagreement with the husband's vow will disrupt family life. In this regard, Chanakya Pandit gives a very valuable instruction. Tampatyo kala honasdi tatarasari shvayamakata. When there are no fights between husband and wife, the goddess of fortune automatically comes to the home. A woman's education should be conducted along the lines indicated in this verse. The basic principle for a chaste woman is to be always favorably disposed toward her husband. In Bhagavad Gita 140, it is said, Starishu tustasu vanesha jayate vanashankara. If the women are polluted, there will be vanashankara population. In modern terms, the vanashankara are the hippies, who do not follow any regulative injunctions. Another explanation is that when the population is vanashankara, no one can know who is on what platform. The Varnashram system scientifically divides society into 4 Varnas and 4 Ashrams. But in the Varnashankara society, there are no such distinctions, and no one can know who is who. In such a society, no one can distinguish between a Brahmana, a Kshatriya, a Vaishya, and a Shudra. For peace and happiness in the material world, the Varnashram institution must be introduced. The symptoms of one's activities must be defined, and one must be educated accordingly. Then spiritual advancement will automatically be possible. Om Jnanati Mirandasya Jnanam Jnana Shalakaya Chaksurmitam Yenai Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripasindubhya eva cha Tatanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we take the verse again. Starinam Chapati Devanam Tat Shushrusha Kulata Tad Bandushvanu Vritis Chanityam Tat Viratadaranam. To render service to the husband, to be always favorably disposed toward the husband, to be equally well disposed toward the husband's relatives and friends, and to follow the vows of the husband. These are the 4 principles to be followed by women described as chaste. So, we are in this section describing the different classes of the perfect human society. And what we have just encountered here, in modern terms, it is very politically incorrect. And indeed it is. But we do not care so much for political incorrectness. We do not want just to please the general population. We don't want to be popular by vox populi, by what the general people say. There's one instance where Srila Prabhupada, he is discussing with a disciple, and this disciple, he's talking about pleasing the general population. And Srila Prabhupada, he says that if you want to please the general population, they will tell you to go and dance naked. So we are not about to go and dance naked. We want to please Krishna. We want to try to execute our dharma. Our Sanatana Dharma is to please Krishna, to render service unto Krishna. And so that is the principle, service to Krishna, that always remains. But then the secondary, the detail, I think he wants it turned up.
But I think that there is a button, yes, I won't have to, because it is loud enough, but there is a button, so it goes to the kitchen.
Phone, and that it says
I don't
phone.
think this is as loud as it usually is.
No, it's somebody who always is pushing this button. So
The button to the kitchen is not on.
And that button is called phone.
Okay.
So the principle is that we should render service unto Krishna. And the detail is how that service is rendered. And that service is rendered according to our conditioned nature, to our bodily constitution. So Narada Muni is going through this, like Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and naming the different occupations. And here he's talking about the duties of a woman. So we should not be so upset about our particular duty, but we should rather try to execute whatever duty has been outlined for us, and knowing that this is a temporary duty, in the sense that I've been given this body, and this body, which is the adibhuta, it's the material energy. So, and we are the spirit soul, we are not the material body, so we just try to render service with whatever facilities we have. And Krishna, he likes when that service is rendered in a particular way. So, for example, here it is mentioned that the duties of a woman is to be a chaste wife and to follow her husband. And it is also mentioned in verses to come that she should not just follow any husband. If the husband is considered very fallen, and it's not just that a woman is a slave of some monstrous personality, but the wife should be chaste, and the husband should also be qualified. The husband should be serving the spiritual master, so that the service that the wife is doing to the husband is then again served to the spiritual master, which is then connected to the parampara. And that is actually a very, very nice system, because just by developing this service attitude, we are always superior to some and we're always inferior to some. So if we can just render service to our authority, seeing that authority as our via medium to God, then we develop a very nice service attitude. And if that service attitude that is already developed, if we are comfortable with rendering selfless service, then it will be very, very easy to actually step into the kingdom of God, because that is what's going on there. But if we say, no, I don't want to do all the service, I want my servants and I want my position and like that, and everyone should run around and do things for me, well then, like, the spiritual world is not for us. So we should try to develop a humble service attitude and do whatever is necessary, because we are not necessarily very, like, our varnas, they are very mixed. This is stated in Kali Yuga, that everyone is born practically as a Shudra, and then, like, we might have, maybe some have a few, like, inclinations of the other varnas. One may like to be, like, to study, or to protect to some degree, or to earn money. So, like, these inclinations, they are there, but they are very much mixed. We are usually a little bit of everything. So, Jagadamba, he very nicely, he explained just a few days ago that as Vaishnavas, we should be transcendental to the system, in the sense that we use it, but we can use any of the positions within the Varnashram system, in the sense that if the service we are doing is the service of a Shudra, then we just, for that time being, then we accept the mood of a Shudra and the instructions which is given here how a Shudra should behave. And if we are in Krishna service suddenly put in a situation where we have to deal with monetary exchanges and like that, we have to make some profit, and then we act like a Vaishya, and like, so whatever momentarily service that we are doing, then we just take that nature and apply it. So that is very nice. So we should not, for example, say, no, I am this and I'm that, so this service, this is too low for me. No. If it is required, then you just step out of your temporary position and enter another position, and then you just act in that service for the pleasure of Krishna. And actually, we might be very, like, for example, some women who are raised in Western society, they could be like, hey, what is going on here? I do not want to just be a menial servant, because I've been raised in a society which always taught me how to be a strong and independent woman and like that. So what is actually going on here? So, am I being cheated? Am I being, manipulated? But actually, my one spiritual master in ISKCON, he said very nicely that if you want to make very, very rapid advancement in Krishna consciousness, then you volunteer for that service which you do not want to do. So if something is asked, hey, can someone clean the toilets? And like you think, I don't want to clean the toilets, then you should go, yes, me. And that way, then that is very, very transcendental position. You're just like indifferent to what kind of services it is, but you just spontaneously engage in it because you say, yes, I want to be purified. So in that sense, then like the nature of a woman, which is described here, is actually very, very favorable to make rapid advancement in Krishna consciousness. And also, if we position ourselves in accordance with the Vedic principles, that is very, very beneficial for ourselves. Like Srila Prabhupada, he quotes in the purport here, he's quoting Chanakya Pandit, who's giving a very valuable instruction. He's saying, when there are no fights between husband and wife, the goddess of fortune automatically comes to their home. So if there are no fights between the husband and the wife, then the goddess of fortune moves into the home. So everyone would like that. Everyone would like that. But practically, if we look around in society and you set up like little spy cameras in every single home in Denmark, then try to find that house where there is no fights between husband and wife. So this is going on everywhere. This is Kali Yuga, this is the age of hypocrisy. But just because everyone else is banging their head against the wall and experiencing a lot of pain, does not mean that we should also bang our head against the wall and experience a lot of pain. So actually we have been giving the Shastra and we have been giving these nice instructions. So if we just try to find out what is actually, we know our constitutional position, we are always the servant of Krishna, and then we try to figure out very nicely the details of how should that service be executed. Because if we are very clear on those details, if the knowledge is correct, then we can execute, and then we can be very, very nicely situated in devotional service. And it's also stated in the Ishopanishad that one should have like complete knowledge of the spiritual nature and the material nature in order to actually transcend it. And also we are singing every day during Gaurvastakam, we're praising the spiritual master for being very expert. Of course, the spiritual master is very expert in serving the gopis and making nice arrangements for Krishna. At the same time, we see the acharyas, how they are so expert in the material dealings. So this is one field where we can try to become very expert, being very nicely situated in accordance with Vana and Ashrama. So, and actually these symptoms of a woman, which is of a chaste wife, which is very, very nicely pointed out by Narada Muni here, they were not so foreign to society just a few years ago. I remember last year we were on traveling book distribution during the December marathon. We were staying for 1 week at a bondegård, like a farmhouse in outside of Odense, and it was like a nice cozy place and like that. But looking around in that house, we found like a stack of books, and this was like a whole Bhagavatam set. But what was inside? It said Encyclopedia for Housewives. And there were so many books. They were like this large, something like that, and then they were thin like this or something, but there was like 40 of them. So you can just imagine, like, actually to be a proper housewife, that is a complete education. But the science is being lost. The succession has been broken, and therefore it appears at least to be lost. There are a few examples here and there maybe, but this is a very, very great science, how actually to be a proper wife. And also I was just talking to during the December marathon again, I was visiting my grandmother, and we talked a little about this and that, and she asked some questions about like the culture which I'm now trying to apply, and I like tried to frame it in a way that we're trying to take it back to the good old days. And then I mentioned, for example, this about the position of a mother and a wife and like that. And she was like, yeah, I remember that from my childhood, and that was very nice. And she gave me a lot of good inside knowledge. And she told me that back when she was young, if the housewife was not like, the housewife was actually supposed to be properly trained. And like, you could see that if a mother and a wife was trained in these principles and knowing all the little details of how actually to conduct the home, then it was very, very nice. But if that was not the situation, then the house actually had a lot of problems. It was really, the family had to struggle like that. So much responsibility is actually there on the wife. And similarly, because this is not just to put like everything on the female gender, because we're living in this contemporary society where the way we have been raised, it's very, very awkward, and to make this adjustment back to the Vedic culture, it can be very difficult, because one might say, okay, so for example, take a young girl who wants to try to apply the Vedic wisdom and says, okay, then I try to get this education of a proper woman, actually trying to become an ideal Vedic woman. But then she might come to the point where she says, okay, so now I am an ideal Vedic woman, so where is the ideal Vedic husband? Because the husbands in Kali Yuga, can they actually like properly maintain a household? Because now we got accustomed to this idea that both have to work so there can be an adequate supply of money. So if we are actually trying to come to the Vedic standard, then we should be very much clean on our gender roles and try to strive for this platform. So the husband should be prepared to take to carry the load in terms of like supplying the monetary necessities, and of course both the husband and the wife living Krishna consciousness, they should be like somewhat they should be in tune that Krishna conscious means simple living. But still, if considering, for example, brahmacharis who are like males who might be considering getting into the grihastha ashram at some point, then we should be very much clear that, okay, I might have so many material needs, and then I like multiply it by 2, and that would be the material needs of my ashram with a wife. So we need approximately not so much, but it is actually stated that in the scripture that women, they have 9 times as much material desire as men normally do. So the equation is wrong. It is not simply that we multiply our material necessities with 2 and then it would be adequate. No. We need to multiply our material desires with 9. And if you can supply that, then the household should be working properly. So that is your material desires plus 9, so like 10. And in the sense, and then say you have a daughter, then again you have to multiply by 9. So add another 9, so that makes 19 times your own material desires. And then say you have another one, then it's 28. So like that. So one should definitely like not just rush into something whimsically, but be very clear of what is actually the field that we are entering into, and how should we act in that field in order to get the proper results that we want. So like that. And so we are now in this situation in Kali Yuga where the family situation, it is very, very awkward, and no one knows how that ashram should be like dealt with accordingly. So therefore the solution is that people, they need education, and so much more importantly, they need proper examples. Because if there is no proper example, then all the education is just blah blah. But if there is proper example, people living a Vedic lifestyle, and then people, they will see, hey, this is